Post 1. Master Manipulative Sticky Fingers. My mother-in-law has stolen from our family before, her own son's $200 from his wallet, and thank God I'm not the type of woman to go in my husband's wallet because she was trying to cause some crap between him and I that was 2+ years ago. Backstory: my husband and I are embarking on our 5th year of marriage. We didn't have much money starting off but have been blessed many times since. One of our best friends decided to gift us wedding rings by having them custom made in his garage, and that was more special to me than picking out at a jewelry store. After about our 3rd year, I couldn't find the ring anywhere, and I swear I know I put it in a small jewelry box in my bathroom along with another ring that did not fit me given to me by my mother-in-law as a gift. Anyways, fast forward to mother-in-law visiting from Mexico. I've allowed her to stay with us 6 months at a time, not that I need her to watch our son or clean or cook, but I welcome her as a guest in this visit. I even created an outlet for her to make her own money making tamales. She sucks but her tamales are good, and during the holidays the tamales were flying and she's had to have made over $1,000 in just tamales profit. Well, one morning I'm sitting at the dining room table drinking coffee with her and she went to touch her face and on her finger was my custom wedding ring. I just about spit my coffee out. Immediately asked my husband if he gave that to her, because he's been offering up all my shit to her without asking me first, but he says no and acted like no big deal. Okay, so there's a slight language barrier because I know some Spanish and can have short conversations, and my mother-in-law doesn't speak any English and pretends like she doesn't understand by choice. Anyways, I allowed the holidays to pass and still nothing was done nor said about my wedding ring on her damn finger, so it was a Friday. I gave my husband until Sunday to get my ring back or I was going to take matters into my own hands. Well, he came home for lunch, immediately went to his mom and in Spanish told her to take off the ring, and she's like, which one? And then my husband asked me which one. I wasn't planning on getting involved, but now here we are. I get up, point to my ring but also on her finger, and I didn't notice before, was the other ring she gifted me. I completely ignored the other ring, so she's frantically taking it off trying to piece together why I want this ring. She says she found as she was sweeping our house and figured it was going in the trash, so she kept it because in Mexico it's very valuable. I cannot make this shit up. So we had a 3-way discussion at the dinner table and I told my husband to directly translate everything I'm about to say. I wanted everything to be made clear in any language. So what mother-in-law didn't realize is it was my wedding ring, and her face dropped immediately because she knew that I knew she stole it and not the BS story she made up, in which case, she still stole it. I also explained how angry I was to her son because he knew about this for weeks and didn't do anything, and that just goes to sum up our marriage. So I held up the ring for both of them. I opened her hand, put the ring in the palm of her hand and closed it. I said, "Now, it's trash." I admit it was a bit dramatic, but I knew she didn't want the ring now. She put the ring on the table, walked off crying as if she's the victim, and my husband has been conspiring ever since. Because I'm dealing with master manipulators here, I know it's coming, so I'm bracing myself, but I feel great and I'm not doing shit for anyone anymore, besides my son and myself. Feels like a breakthrough. This was long, but I have so much more. Anyways, thanks for listening to my story. I had to vent because my parents aren't talking to me because I'm not of their religion. That's another story. First reply to post 1. Ooh, so husband is cool with mommy wearing your wedding ring? And pretends he didn't recognize your wedding ring? And mommy didn't know it was your wedding ring? So mommy and baby boy are stupid or like to play stupid? Or play what? Happy family? My ex liked to play stupid when it made his life easier. Usually when he wanted to do something he knew he shouldn't, like leave me with his kids so he could go out, on my only day off that month, that kind of crap. It only got worse. So husband would rather play stupid so his mom could have what she wanted or to avoid upsetting her, or both. But didn't have a problem insulting your intelligence or upsetting you. He didn't remember it being made special for you along with his ring in a rather unique setting. Damn, what a waste of skin. I'm pissed for you. Second reply, melt it down and have it changed into a very sharp dagger nose ring. Every time you see mother-in-law, give her a very vapid, psychotic smile. Pull your lips as far back as you can so that she sees all the way back to the molars. Tell her, thank you. You introduced me to your true self. You introduced me to my husband's true self. Because of these introductions, I am getting to know my true self, and she's a real bee. Then blow her a kiss. Third reply, wait, so you have the wedding ring back to her? I'm a bit confused on that part. What an awful mother-in-law, and you have a husband with a noodle spine. I'm so sorry, original poster, but damn, that was an amazing stand up for yourself. Post 2, Mother-in-law accused me of hogging my own baby, then goes on to say how she was going to send me out on errands and force me to leave him with her. Am I overreacting? So, that happened a few nights ago and I'm still trying to process everything. Husband and I moved closer to mother-in-law recently, big mistake, and within one day of being close by she accused me of hogging my baby and said I needed to give other people, and by other people she means her, a chance to comfort him, otherwise he's going to be too attached to me, his mother. We are purposefully keeping him away from everyone due to COVID. She also threatened to send me away to do errands for her and force me to leave him home alone with her. I mean, what the fuck? Who says that to anyone, let alone a new mother? My son is only 10 weeks old and breastfeeding, so I can only be away from him for so long, and the only person I'm comfortable leaving him with is my husband. Again, there's a goddamn pandemic going on. We also found out she's been lying about how safe she's been during the pandemic. She lied about going to the hairdresser this week, telling my husband she had a doctor's appointment. We allowed her to hold him only because she promised she was being safe and only going out when necessary. I should also add we live in a pretty safe area with low COVID numbers, however low doesn't mean none. Apparently she's also been eating out with friends. I'm furious right now at being treated like this. Husband is 100% on my side and is equally as angry. I feel we acted rashly in moving closer to her. Luckily, we're also closer to my family as well, so at least I have them to lean on because they're not insane. I have no idea how to move forward. Our relationship was good before moving, although she's always been a bit controlling. I think she hates being told what to do. We set boundaries before we moved and she clearly ignored them all. She is setting a dangerous precedent for herself, as I now can no longer trust anything she says and I no longer feel comfortable allowing my son to spend time with her, COVID or not. I need advice. First reply to post 2, original poster, you're a good mom. Now that baby is born, all priorities have shifted toward keeping him alive and figuring out how to adjust to his needs. Mother-in-law seems like she's so excited to be a part of these first moments she's worked herself up into a frenzy of selfish stupidity. The best, and surprisingly easiest, way forward is to set clear and firm boundaries and, while the reasons behind boundaries can seem obvious, it's important to never explain your reasoning. You never find yourself arguing with a fence, but what if you could make the fence disappear by disagreeing loudly enough with its purpose? Never give her the opportunity to argue with your reasoning by never giving them to her. A simple "this is the way it will be" is all that's necessary. She may complain at first, but eventually she will be forced to acknowledge your supreme parental authority just by making it a simple fact that she has zero input. Good luck. Second reply, mother-in-law got busted in a lie in the middle of a damn COVID-19 pandemic. It's time to be mama bear and protect your cub from this idiot. Being a grandparent is a privilege and it's not a right. She abused that privilege, so she loses that privilege. She needs to go sit in the timeout corner for a long time. She throws a fit? She stays in the timeout corner until she learns that you are the baby's mother and what you say, to protect your baby, will be the rule. She needs to stay in her lane. Third reply, your husband really is the key here. He needs to be the one to handle his mom and put up and enforce the boundaries with or without you sitting next to him. Get comfortable with telling her no, I won't be doing that, no, the baby doesn't need grandma cuddles right now, and no, you can't visit and you don't need Jade. Why you are saying no? Post 3, she wanted my child's social security number to open an account. As many of the people here, I never had a mother-in-law until I had the first grandchild on my fiancé's side of the family. My darling daughter is 6 months old, and to say my mother-in-law is obsessed is an understatement. Before she was born, my mother-in-law would tell me I shouldn't buy such useless items like a crib. To just use a pack and play with a changing table attached. And don't buy a bottle warmer. Things of that nature, but this has been a dream of mine since forever. To have a baby girl. And it's the most amazing thing that's ever happened. I want to give her the world and really soak in my time as a first-time mom. The script totally flipped once daughter was born. She went from "don't buy a crib" to "how dare you not have a wipe warmer." These are too cold for my baby. Oh yes, the dreaded my baby that everyone just loves. She's become so obsessed. Just some small examples. Once it was her birthday. Daughter was 2 months old and she was sleeping in the stroller. At this point dinner was over and it was past her bedtime. I keep her on. I told everyone I didn't want anyone to hold her cause it's a pain in the ass taking her out. And she was already fussy. She literally said, I'm going to have, brother-in-law, have a baby so I can hold and see it all the time. Since I'm never allowed to hold my baby ever. Another time at a funeral for my fiancé's grandmother, she forced her way into sitting right on me and during the service was snapping and pulling open the stroller trying to make her smile and laugh. Now mother-in-law moved when daughter was barely a month old. She sold her house while I was pregnant and bought one 2 hours away and did it up. She was bouncing between here and her new house, but you can tell she regretted moving. I personally think she didn't realize how much she'd loved daughter till she was born and met her. It was like a light that switched on. Before she moved fully, I'd let her come over once a week when it was one of my fiancé's day off. This was working well, but she slowly wanted more. I feel like she was messaging me every day if she could come over. If the baby was asleep and I would say, "Oh, she's down for a nap, if you want to come over and wait till she's up, that's fine," but no, that wasn't good enough. She'd text my fiancé and say I'm keeping her away from my daughter. Which was never true. I just set boundaries and didn't want her over every damn day. At this point she wouldn't even care about me or fiancé. If the baby wasn't awake she wouldn't even bother coming over. And when she did she would flat out ignore us and be all over my daughter, and this upset me. Being a first-time mom can be rather lonely, and when you feel you're being used for your child it's terrible. Especially since her and I had such a good relationship before. We'd hang out all the time alone and now I couldn't even speak to her. Now, the issue we have is after she moved. She would only text my fiancé asking if she could come over. He would then dread asking me and wait last minute, causing us to fight. Now why wouldn't she ask the stay-at-home mom to come over? The person who with the baby 80% of the day and who has taken the lead in her childcare? Because she knows he'll just agree to anything, cause that's what he has done his whole life. He has told her many times, "You need to ask her about this, not me. I'm not home," and she'll just never text me. I find it so disrespectful. We have a group chat but she'll only ask him. Or ask him if she can have my daughter for a night. Which isn't happening until she's way older. I told my fiancé this was so rude to me. To be left out on a conversation about my own child is unacceptable. I thought we were coming to a breakthrough. Just this last week she told us she would be in town. I swear this bitch is always somehow for some reason always 2 hours away from her house, and asked if she could come. I said sure she can stop by. She then texted me directly asking if she could babysit an hour or so. I said okay. She then babysat for 2 hours and left. It went smooth and I felt to myself, wow, a breakthrough. But then today my fiancé out of the blue asked me what our daughter's social security number was. I was taken back and asked why, and he causally just says my mom wants it to start a bank account. Now my mom has been teaching me how to be tactical when dealing with this. And how to limit the fights my significant other and I have over this. Which might I say we only fight about her. I simply said word by word, I don't think we should be giving our child's social security number out. It's hers. We are responsible for keeping it safe till she's 18. We are the parents and she is just a grandparent. If she wants to start a savings for her, I encourage her to do so, but not with our daughter's personal social security number, so no thank you. Also, it is very disrespectful to ask only you for this information and not having a proper conversation with me as well. For now on, if she doesn't ask both you and me directly things about our daughter, I will not be answering it through you anymore. She has my number. And it went very well. Instead of fighting, we swiftly moved on. I've been telling him for months if she doesn't message me directly she can't come over. I thought she understood. I also want to add she's a control freak through and through. She has brother-in-law's bank information and pays his bills with his money, and he's 26. First reply to post, I think you're doing a great job setting boundaries. I'm sorry we are in a pandemic, or I'd advise you to join a mom's group. Second reply, if she truly wants to set money aside for baby, which I doubt, but set up a 529 college savings account. We have one for each of our kids and there is a feature with their plans where we can provide a link to relatives for them to contribute. It would 1. Be a good thing to start for your kid, and 2. Give you an excuse and a solution to her I want to save for baby drama. If your husband bucks, just turn it around and explain that this is a way that all relatives can contribute if desired, and why shouldn't you as the parents have control over your child's finances? Third reply, this screams emotional control problems to me. I have a mental illness and when it is poorly managed, it makes her behavior unfortunately quite relatable for me. One thing that's a big flag to me is how like her emotions seem like absolutely normal emotions to feel, but she ought not to have acted on them. Like the way she behaved when you were getting ready for the baby. Internally thinking the way someone is preparing for something is overkill? Totally normal. Telling them about it and outwardly criticizing them? That's not normal. Feeling that emotion is normal. Acting on it despite the negative social consequences for her and emotional consequences for the people she loves? That is a failure to regulate that emotion. And then when the baby arrived, it seems like she was smitten, which is amazing. That is a totally normal and very positive emotion. It's very sweet. It's an extremely strong emotion, and it's very normal too. For example, feel sad and frustrated when you are with a baby who you love that much, and you just want to smother them with affection, and you're not allowed to hold them. I had a new baby niece born during COVID who I didn't get to hold, and I was happy to make that sacrifice to protect her, but damn was it sad. What is not normal is to let that emotion come out in passive-aggressive behaviors, like that wacky comment she made about your bill. She ought to have kept that emotion internal. It shouldn't have made it to the surface, and her reaction had bad consequences for her. Another thing is that she should have been careful not to make you feel used for your baby, even though the baby is new and shiny and exciting and the big new thing in her head. The biggest flag here that is screaming at me though is how controlling she is. Holy cow, is it over the top, haha. I unfortunately can very much relate to that too. The thing about controlling people is that it is a shitty way to regulate your emotions, but it is a way to regulate your emotions. Like if your granddaughter who you are head over heels for is being cleaned up with a cold butt wipe, and you feel over the top sympathetic cold butt empathy pain, and you can't press pause on that emotion, maybe you can manage it by guilting your daughter-in-law into warming the butt wipes. And then the impulse to do that is not suppressed. And the emotions and frustration that comes up when the daughter-in-law does not comply because you know she's her own person and doesn't exist to cater to your emotions are not suppressed. It seems like this is her habit for how she deals with stuff. That explains why she is asking you inappropriately for her personal info. She wanted to do a loving thing of thinking about her future, and she had no sense about it being inappropriate to do in that way because she's used to being totally involved and controlling. She might have had a daydream about showing her the bank account when she's old enough and maybe sending gifts and showing her how to save and stuff, and never really pressed pause and evaluated whether doing that would be inappropriate. It's really hard to set boundaries with someone like that, because they clearly love your kid. It doesn't feel right and it can make you feel guilty. One thing that can really help is seeing it clearly for what it is, and working really hard not to see it in black and white. Like if you look at it as either she's a loving grandmother or a terrible overbearing grandmother, the loving grandmother theory will feel super wrong and invalidating of the distress she's causing with her behavior. But the terrible overbearing grandmother theory won't feel right either because she'll do something loving and it will make you feel like absolute shit for putting up so many walls and safeguards. Knowing why she's doing stuff can help you look at it accurately, not black or white but in the middle. She is loving, she does love your family, she is right to feel what she feels, but she does have a problem with regulating her feelings, whether it's a mental illness or habit/learned behavior or a combination or something else, and her behavior is extremely inappropriate. It is kind and compassionate to set boundaries because it preserves and nurtures the relationship, like pruning disease from a tree. You can set boundaries because you value her love for your daughter and for you, and you see that lacking that stop sign is devaluing it. Also, it might not be your place just depending on how receptive she is to stuff like that, but I would encourage you to see if you can convince her to get some help. Therapy and medication changed my life and really repaired my ability to respect the people I love the way I wanted to, not to mention that being subject to those emotions and being not able to not respond and act on them is like going through the fucking washing machine. Loads of things cause emotional dysregulation. Post 5. Divorced mother-in-law recently moved in, but is constantly fighting. Spineless husband won't do a thing about her. I did what a lot of you told me to do, and myself and my oldest 2 daughters have been recording mother-in-law every chance we can, not only for ourselves but the younger 3 children, 8-year-old female, 5-year-old female and 2-year-old male. The day after my post, mother-in-law lost her phone charger, and totally berserk blaming both my oldest 2 daughters, and at one stage while getting housework downstairs I heard mother-in-law in my oldest daughter's bedroom, throwing things around, so I went to check and mother-in-law had pulled her room apart, and when I asked what she was doing she claimed she was looking for all the stuff my daughter had stolen from her. I told her accusing her granddaughter of stealing from her was BS, and I was no longer going to put up with her behavior. She was also going to put the bedroom back together as well. She scoffed at me and continued like I wasn't there. Since I'd had enough, I called my husband, to tell him his mom was now accusing our oldest of stealing from her own grandmother, and he either had the chance to actually take my side this time, and stand up for his daughter who he knew wouldn't steal from her own grandmother, or he would find his and mother-in-law's things packed and in the driveway when he got home. He told me he would come home and try to sort it out. When he first got home he talked to me and then his mom, then he came back to tell me, mother-in-law watched our daughter steal, so I said, let's check the cameras then, so we did, Our daughter once stepped foot in mother-in-law's bedroom or the spare bathroom. He went and talked to his mom, and I could hear just trying to make out I knew, and was trying to hide things. And then tried to say I told my daughter to do it on purpose. When I asked my husband if he actually believed what she said, he told me he didn't know, but the moment our daughter got home, he went and talked to her, which made her extremely upset to the point she cried. So they know we're in. It seems like mother-in-law's presence is causing massive problems for the kids to have a good relationship with their dad. After their little argument, I told my husband since his mom made a mess of her granddaughter's room, she would be cleaning it. She makes the mess, she cleans it, not somebody else. He told his mom to do it. A couple days of constant arguing with mother-in-law, who argued all day and threw a fit whenever me and the older girls stood up for one another, but the moment my husband got home she would retreat to her room and start crying, calling my husband down to where she would play victim and put all the blame on us. More arguing with husband, where the girls were now involved. This went on for days until my husband told us to all sit down and talk, so we did. Mother-in-law at first wouldn't let us talk, but after some back and forward husband told us to let us talk. We explained things that had been happening. She denied everything, and the moment we said we had recordings, she freaked and demanded to know what right we had to record her. When I told her it was because of her constant lies and her attitude towards everyone was no longer going to be accepted around here. She tried to say she was going through a lot, so I told her to get help. She cried, then went completely crazy, giving out at the kids, accusing me of deliberately ruining her relationship with her son, how I had been nothing but disrespectful to her the whole time. She started throwing things some that missed my kid's head, so I grabbed her and dragged her downstairs, told her to pack her stuff. So she had a major meltdown, wailed loud enough my husband ran down to check on her, which he consoled her while telling me my actions were unacceptable. That's when I told him, if you keep feeding the beast, and giving in, things will only get worse from here. Long after they both left, didn't say anything, and just before bed my husband came back home, told me his mom wasn't coming back for a while, then he went off on me for the way I acted, so I said her actions had been so much worse these last few weeks, her divorce shouldn't be an excuse for her behavior and she should have asked for help before now instead of causing massive problems within the family. The girls are still giving him the benefit of the doubt, even though he is trying his hardest to be there for him, but they both want an apology. He hasn't given them one yet. As for us, we've spent a few days hardly speaking to each other. I may always look like the bad guy in his eyes, but I'll always do what I need for my kids. His mother does not come first.